Maya Williams was the kind of student most people didn't notice. She was quiet, kept to herself, and didn't speak much in class. She always sat in the back row and never raised her hand. Her clothes were simple. Her hair was always tied in a neat bun. She walked with her eyes down, like she didn't want anyone to see her. She wasn't shy. She just didn't like attention. Maya was smart, very smart, but she didn't show it off. Her grades were always good, but she never talked about it. While other students laughed loudly in the hallways or joked around with teachers, Maya just moved quietly from class to class, carrying her books close to her chest. Some students thought she was strange. Others didn't think about her at all. But Kevin noticed her. Kevin Parker was the complete opposite of Maya. He was loud, popular, and always surrounded by a group of friends. He liked making jokes, even if they hurt other people's feelings. He didn't care. He laughed when people were uncomfortable. He called people names and thought it was funny when they looked sad or confused. He was the kind of person who felt strong by making others feel small. And he thought Maya was the perfect target. She was quiet. She didn't have many friends. She never fought back. To Kevin, that meant one thing: she was weak. It started with small things. One day, he called her Mute Maya in the hallway. Some students laughed. Maya didn't say anything. She just kept walking. The next day, he bumped into her by accident, and her books fell to the floor. He laughed as she bent down to pick them up. Again, she said nothing. After that, it became a game for him. He would whisper rude things when she passed by. Sometimes he would say them loud enough for others to hear. "What's the matter, Maya? Cat got your tongue," he'd say, grinning like it was the funniest thing in the world. Maya never looked angry. She didn't cry. She didn't yell. She just looked away. That made Kevin feel powerful. But what Kevin didn't know, what no one knew, was that Maya was watching. She saw everything. She saw how people laughed when Kevin made fun of her. She saw how teachers didn't say anything. She saw how even her classmates, who weren't mean, still stayed silent when Kevin bothered her. And she remembered. Maya had been through worse. Much worse. She had lived in a tough neighborhood before moving to this school. She had seen people fight, scream, and hurt each other for no reason. Her mother taught her to stay calm. Never show anger, her mother used to say. Anger gives them power. Stay quiet. Watch, and when the time is right, stand up. Maya was not weak. She was patient. Every time Kevin pushed her, she counted. 1, 2, 3. She counted her steps, counted his words, counted the seconds it would take to make him stop, and the number was getting smaller. But Kevin didn't see it. He thought she was afraid. He thought she was broken. He thought he could keep doing it forever. He didn't know Maya had a limit, and when that limit was reached, he would find out something he never expected: that the quietest person in the room might just be the strongest. Kevin Parker loved being the center of attention. He liked when people laughed at his jokes, even when the jokes were mean. He walked through the school like he owned it. Teachers didn't like him, but they didn't stop him either. Some were even afraid of him, just like the students. He had a loud voice, strong arms, and a wide smile that hid something darker inside. Kevin liked power. And the easiest way to feel powerful was to pick on someone weaker. That's why he picked on Maya. Maya didn't fight back. She didn't tell anyone. She didn't cry. That made her perfect in Kevin's eyes. He thought she was too scared to stop him. Every time she stayed quiet, he felt stronger. Every time she walked away, he laughed harder. Kevin didn't know much about Maya. He didn't care where she was from or what kind of life she had lived. He just saw someone quiet and alone, and that was enough for him to start bothering her. It became part of his routine. He would wait near her locker in the morning. Sometimes he would block her path. Other times he would whisper something rude as she walked past. Things like, "You got nothing to say," or "Why so scared all the time?" When Maya didn't react, he felt like he had won. His friends laughed too. They thought it was harmless fun. To them, Maya was just the weird quiet girl who never talked. They didn't see her eyes. They didn't see the way she looked at Kevin, calm, but not afraid. They didn't notice how Maya never walked faster, never changed her route, never looked down when Kevin came near. She didn't run. She didn't hide. She watched. But Kevin didn't pay attention to those things. One day, during lunch break, Kevin decided to push a little further. He and his friends were sitting in the cafeteria when they saw Maya walking by with her lunch tray. She was looking for a place to sit, but most tables were full. Kevin leaned over to his friends and whispered something. They laughed. Then he stood up and walked over to her. "Hey, Maya," he said loudly. "You want to sit here?" Maya looked at the table. All the boys were smiling in a strange way. Not friendly. Not kind. She said nothing. Kevin pulled out a chair. "Come on, don't be shy. We were just talking about you." Some students nearby looked up. A few of them giggled. Others turned away, not wanting to get involved. Maya didn't move. She just stared at Kevin. He took a step closer. "What's the matter? Can't speak? Or do you just think you're better than everyone else?" Still, she said nothing. Kevin reached out and knocked her tray from her hands. The tray hit the floor with a loud clatter. Food spilled everywhere. The sound echoed across the cafeteria. A few people gasped. Someone whispered, "That's too much." But Kevin smiled proudly, like he had just won a game. Maya bent down and picked up her tray. She moved slowly, not in a rush. She didn't look at Kevin. She didn't speak. She just stood up, walked to the trash can, and threw her food away. Then she left the cafeteria without a word. Kevin laughed again. But this time it didn't feel the same. Some people looked at him differently now. Not everyone was smiling. Maya walked down the hallway, her face calm as always. But inside her, something was changing. She was done waiting. The next time Kevin messed with her would be the last. The next day at school, Maya came in early, like always. She walked through the halls quietly, holding her books close to her chest. Her face showed no emotion. She moved like a shadow, calm and careful, not looking for trouble. But trouble was looking for her. Kevin was already in the hallway with his friends. He leaned against a locker, talking loud and laughing. The moment he saw Maya, his smile grew wide. "There she is," he said to his friends, pointing at her. "The silent queen." His friends laughed. Maya kept walking. Kevin pushed off the locker and moved to block her path. He stood right in front of her, his arms crossed, wearing a smug smile on his face. "Going somewhere?" he asked. Maya stopped walking. She looked at Kevin, then looked past him, like he wasn't even there. Kevin stepped closer. "You know, it's kinda rude not to say anything. I'm just trying to be friendly." She didn't reply. He leaned forward a bit, lowering his voice but making sure others nearby could still hear. "What's wrong? You embarrassed from yesterday? That was an accident, you know. You should be more careful with your food." His friends chuckled. A few students nearby turned to look. Some looked uncomfortable, but no one said anything. Maya stayed still. Her eyes didn't blink. Her face was calm. But her silence wasn't weak. It was strong. Her eyes locked on Kevin's face, and something about the way she looked at him made him pause for a second. But he didn't stop. Kevin reached for her books and knocked them out of her hands. They fell to the floor with a loud thud. Papers flew everywhere. "Oh no," Kevin said, fake sadness in his voice. "You dropped your books." Again. The hallway was quiet now. People were watching. Some students had their phones out, recording. Still, Maya said nothing. She bent down slowly, picked up her books one by one, and stacked them neatly. Her hands didn't shake. She didn't rush. Kevin stood there, waiting for her to snap. He wanted her to yell or cry or scream. But she didn't, and that made him angrier. "You know," he said, louder this time. Maybe if you spoke more, stuff like this wouldn't happen. You ever think about that? Maya stood up. She looked at him, really looked at him, and for the first time, Kevin felt something strange. Was it fear? Her eyes were calm, but there was something strong behind them. Like fire behind glass, like a storm waiting to come out. She didn't say a word. She didn't need to. She turned and walked away. The hallway stayed silent as she passed. Kevin watched her go. He laughed again, but it felt forced now. Something didn't feel right. He had pushed her again, but this time, the silence didn't feel like a win. It felt like a warning. Later that day in class, Kevin kept looking over his shoulder. Maya sat 2 rows behind him, quiet as always. But every time he glanced back, she was already looking at him. Her stare didn't blink, didn't move. Kevin felt it. For the first time, he wondered what would happen if she finally spoke, if she finally acted. He didn't know it yet, but he had already crossed the line. And Maya was done waiting. That night, Maya couldn't sleep. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. Her mind kept going over the day, over Kevin, over the things he had said, over the way he had pushed her. His words echoed in her head, but it wasn't the words that bothered her anymore. It was the way he treated her, like she didn't matter. She wasn't angry, not really. She wasn't scared either. She was just tired. Tired of being quiet. Tired of walking away. Tired of letting him and everyone else think she was weak. For weeks, Maya had been waiting for something to change. She had been waiting for a sign or a moment when it would be okay to stand up, to finally say something. But the truth was, the moment would never come if she kept waiting. If she kept letting him push her around, he would keep doing it. And the people around her would keep watching, doing nothing. Her mother's words came to her then. Never show anger. Stay calm. Wait for the right moment. And when you finally stand, you stand strong. Maya didn't need to wait anymore. She had waited long enough. The next day at school, she walked through the halls with a new sense of purpose. She wasn't scared. She wasn't angry. She was just ready. When she reached her locker, she saw Kevin and his friends standing at the end of the hallway. They were laughing, but as soon as they saw her, Kevin's smile appeared, that same smug grin that always made her feel small. Maya didn't turn away. She didn't hide her face or lower her eyes. She didn't even look down at the floor like she usually did. This time, she looked right at Kevin. "Hey, Maya," Kevin called out, walking toward her. "Where's your mute button today? You going to talk or just keep ignoring me?" Maya didn't say anything. She just stared at him, calm and still. Kevin stopped in front of her, blocking her way again. "What's the matter, Maya? Scared? Don't want to talk to me? You're always so quiet. Maybe I should make some noise for you." He stepped closer, making sure his friends were watching. His eyes were bright with excitement, like he was about to get the best reaction from her yet. But Maya didn't move. She didn't blink. She didn't step back. Kevin pushed her shoulder, hard. "I'm talking to you, Maya." That was it. Maya felt something inside her snap, like a string that had been stretched too tight. It wasn't anger. It wasn't fear. It was just enough. Enough of the games. Enough of being the quiet girl. Enough of him thinking he could push her around without any consequences. She grabbed his arm before he could shove her again. It was quick, too fast for him to stop. Her grip was firm, but not tight. Just enough to make him stop. Kevin blinked, surprised. His friend stared at him, waiting for him to laugh it off, waiting for him to make a joke. But Kevin didn't laugh. He tried to pull away, but Maya didn't let go. She stepped closer to him, her face inches from his. "I'm not scared of you," Maya said quietly, but her voice was steady, strong. "I'm not scared of your jokes. I'm not scared of you." Kevin opened his mouth to say something, but no words came out. His eyes widened, and for the first time, he didn't know what to do. The usual confidence in his voice was gone. Maya didn't say anything else. She released her grip on his arm, pushed him back, and stepped around him. She didn't look back. Kevin stood there, his mouth hanging open. He didn't know what had just happened. Maya kept walking, but this time, she didn't walk away in fear. She walked with her head high. She didn't need to say anything. She didn't need to shout. Her message was clear. She was done. And Kevin, for the first time, was the one left confused. The rest of the day passed in a strange, quiet way. Maya didn't hear any more taunts from Kevin, but she could feel his eyes on her. She could feel the tension in the air, like a storm waiting to break. Kevin had never been quiet before. He had always been the loud one, the one who made everyone laugh, even if it meant making someone else uncomfortable. But now he was silent. He didn't say anything, and that made Maya feel even more certain about her decision. As she walked through the halls, Maya noticed people were looking at her differently. Some of them whispered, but not in a mean way. There was something in their eyes now, of kind of respect. They had all seen Kevin push her, seen him try to make her feel small, but they had also seen her stand up to him. And that made them start to see her in a new light. Maya wasn't weak. She wasn't scared. She was strong. But Kevin didn't see it that way. In the lunchroom, Maya sat down at her usual spot. She didn't look around or try to find a group to sit with. She didn't need anyone to sit with her. She was perfectly fine on her own. She opened her lunchbox and began to eat, just as she always did. But today was different. Today, she felt more peaceful than she ever had. As she ate, she glanced over at Kevin's table. He was sitting with his usual friends, but he wasn't laughing. He wasn't joking around. His friends were talking, but Kevin barely seemed to be listening. He stared at his tray, his face a little pale. It was clear that something had shifted in him. Something inside him had changed. For a moment, Kevin looked over at Maya. Their eyes met for just a second, but it felt like 100 seconds. Maya didn't smile or look away. She simply met his gaze. It wasn't angry. It wasn't scared. It was just calm, strong. It was a message without words. Kevin looked away first. Maya didn't feel a rush of victory. She didn't feel proud. She just felt calm. She knew that what had happened was bigger than just that one moment. It was bigger than Kevin's bullying. It was about standing up for herself. It was about showing everyone, including herself, that she didn't need to hide anymore. The bell rang, and Maya got up, gathering her things slowly. As she made her way to class, she didn't look for trouble. She didn't try to make a point. She just walked, like she always did. But this time, her steps were different. They were steadier, more confident. The hallway was crowded with students moving to their next class, but Maya didn't feel the usual pressure to avoid people's eyes. She didn't feel the need to hide or shrink into the background. She walked with her head up. And for once, she didn't feel invisible. As she passed Kevin's locker, she saw him again. He was standing with his back to her, talking to one of his friends. But he was no longer the loud, cocky guy who liked to make others feel small. There was something different about him now. He didn't have that same smile. He didn't have that same swagger. Maya wasn't sure if he realized it yet, but he had lost something. And she had gained something. Kevin turned around as Maya walked past him. He opened his mouth as if to say something, but no words came out. For a moment, he just stood there, staring at her, as if trying to figure out who she really was. Maya didn't stop. She didn't say anything. She just kept walking, the quiet strength inside her growing with every step. Kevin didn't call out to her. He didn't try to stop her. He just watched her go, his mind racing. But Maya didn't care about that anymore. She didn't care if Kevin understood. She didn't care if he was confused. She had made her point, and now it was his turn to figure things out. Maya had shown him that silence wasn't weakness, it was strength. And the next time Kevin decided to mess with her, he would find out just how strong she really was. The next day at school, everything seemed normal. The halls were busy with students talking and laughing, and the sound of lockers slamming shut echoed through the building. But Maya knew something had changed. There was a new kind of silence in the air, and it had nothing to do with her. Kevin was different now. He was quieter. He didn't make jokes about her anymore. He didn't call her names. He didn't try to push her or make her drop her books. It was like he had decided to leave her alone, at least for now. But Maya could still feel his eyes on her. Every time she turned a corner, she could feel him watching her from somewhere. She didn't know what he was thinking, but she knew one thing for sure. Kevin wasn't used to being ignored. He wasn't used to being the one who didn't get the reaction he wanted. Maya didn't mind the silence. In fact, it felt good. She wasn't scared anymore. She had finally made him realize that she wasn't a target. She wasn't someone he could push around just because he felt like it. But that didn't mean she was going to let her guard down. Kevin might be quiet for now, but she knew he wouldn't stay that way forever. It was lunch again, and Maya sat at her usual spot, by herself, reading a book. She didn't feel the need to be part of a group. She was happy on her own. As she ate, she glanced up and saw Kevin walking toward her. This time, his friends weren't with him. It was just him. Maya didn't look away. She didn't put down her book. She didn't stop eating. She kept her eyes on the page, pretending like she didn't notice him. But she could feel the tension building. She could feel the weight of his stare on her. Kevin stood in front of her. He didn't say anything at first. He just stared down at her. Maya didn't look up. She didn't speak. She just kept reading, the words on the page no longer holding her attention. She was focused on him. She could feel his eyes, waiting for her to react. Kevin shifted his weight from one foot to the other, clearly uncomfortable. He had never seen her act this way before. Normally, she would look away, or she would stay quiet and move to the side. But today, she was sitting there, reading like he didn't even exist. Finally, he broke the silence. "You're really quiet, you know that." Maya didn't answer. She just flipped a page in her book, her fingers moving slowly as she turned the paper. Kevin wasn't used to being ignored. He wasn't used to someone not caring about him, and it made him feel uneasy. He shifted again, looking at her with a confused expression. He expected her to say something. Anything. He wanted her to feel small again. He wanted her to react the way she always did, like the quiet, weak girl who couldn't stand up for herself. But today, Maya wasn't playing his game. Kevin let out a deep sigh. Frustrated. "What, you too good to talk now?" Maya didn't even glance up. She didn't look at him. She didn't move. She just kept reading. Kevin felt his frustration growing. His face turned red, and he clenched his fists. He had tried to break her. He had tried to make her snap, to make her show some kind of weakness. But she wasn't giving him the satisfaction. He took a step closer, standing right over her. "I'm talking to you, Maya," he said louder this time, trying to get her attention. But Maya still didn't move. She didn't look up. She didn't flinch. For a moment, there was only silence. Kevin was standing there, breathing heavily, staring at her. He had no idea what to do next. His mind raced. But the words wouldn't come. He had pushed and pushed, and now she wasn't responding. And that, in a way, was worse than anything she could have said. Finally, Kevin turned around and walked away. His shoulders were tense, his steps heavy. He didn't look back at her. But Maya could feel the weight of his confusion, the anger he tried to hide. As he walked back to his table, Maya finally looked up, watching him leave. She didn't smile. She didn't need to. She knew she had made her point. Kevin had come to her, but he had left without getting anything from her. He had tried to make her bend, but he had failed. And that, Maya knew, was the best thing she could have done. The days after Kevin's silent stare down passed slowly, but they were peaceful. Maya didn't feel nervous when she walked through the halls anymore. She didn't feel the need to hurry past the lockers or look around for Kevin. She had stood up for herself, and in doing so, she had changed everything. Kevin didn't mess with her anymore, not in the way he used to. He still looked at her from time to time, but now there was a strange hesitation in his eyes. Maya noticed it. She noticed everything. The way people started talking to her differently. The way she wasn't the quiet, invisible girl anymore. Now people smiled at her when they passed by. Some even waved. Maya wasn't used to it, but she was starting to like it. Still, there was something missing. She had stood up to Kevin, but she hadn't heard him apologize. She hadn't seen him admit he was wrong. Maya wasn't looking for an apology, but there was a part of her that wanted to hear him say it, to hear him admit he was the one who had been wrong all along. And then, one day during lunch, she got her chance. Maya was sitting at her usual spot in the cafeteria, eating her lunch and reading a book. She wasn't paying attention to anything around her. It was quiet, just the way she liked it. She had learned how to block out the noise, how to focus on herself and not the world around her. But then she felt a presence. Maya looked up, and there he was, Kevin. He was standing at the end of the table, his arms crossed, his eyes looking at her like he didn't know what to do. He wasn't smiling. He wasn't laughing. There was no arrogance in his expression. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The room seemed to quiet down, as if everyone was waiting for something to happen. Kevin was staring at Maya, and she was staring back, not with anger, but with calm curiosity. Finally, Kevin broke the silence. I need to talk to you, he said, his voice quieter than usual. There was something different in his tone, something that made Maya sit up straight. He was serious, and that made her serious too. Maya didn't say anything at first. She didn't know what to expect. She didn't know if this was just another trick, another way for Kevin to try and push her buttons, but something told her this was different. "Go ahead," she said simply, setting her book down and looking directly at him. Kevin took a deep breath. I just want to say, I'm sorry," he said, his words slower than she expected. "I've been a jerk to you and to a lot of other people. I didn't think about how I was making you feel. He paused, running a hand through his hair, his face red. "I didn't mean to. Well, I guess I did, but I don't know why. I was just trying to fit in, and I didn't care if I hurt you." Maya looked at him, her expression neutral. She didn't feel the need to say anything right away. She didn't need to rush into forgiveness. Kevin had hurt her, but hearing him speak the words she had never thought she would hear made her realize something. Kevin wasn't the same person he used to be. Something had changed inside him. Maybe it was because she had stood up to him. Maybe it was because the people around him were starting to see him differently. Whatever it was, he was finally taking responsibility for what he had done. "I don't expect you to forgive me right away," Kevin continued, his voice softer now. I wanted you to know that I know what I did was wrong. I don't want to be that guy anymore." Maya took a breath, considering his words. It wasn't an easy thing to forgive someone who had made your life difficult for so long. But at that moment, she realized that holding on to the past wasn't going to help her move forward. If Kevin was really changing, if he was really sorry, then she could let go of the anger she had held on to for so long. "You don't have to be that guy anymore," Maya said simply, looking him in the eyes. "But you have to mean it. If you really want to change, then you have to show it, not just say it." Kevin nodded slowly, his eyes filled with sincerity. "I will. I'll show you." Maya didn't smile, but she didn't need to. The message had been heard, and in that moment, she knew that she had won, not just by standing up to Kevin, but by making him realize that his actions had consequences. As Kevin walked away, Maya felt something inside her shift. She didn't need to hold on to the past anymore. She had done what she needed to do. And now it was Kevin's turn to prove he was ready to change. The next few days at school felt different for Maya. There was a strange kind of calm in the air. Kevin hadn't bothered her. He wasn't making fun of her. He wasn't trying to push her around. He was quiet. But that didn't mean Maya was completely at ease. she still couldn't shake the feeling that something was about to happen. She knew Kevin's apology was just the beginning. Words were easy. The real test was going to be how he acted now. Maya wasn't sure what to expect from him. Would he really change? Or would he go back to the old Kevin, the one who liked to make people feel small just so he could feel bigger? It didn't take long for Maya to get her answer. It was Friday afternoon, and Maya was in the library, as usual, reading and enjoying the peace and quiet. She liked to spend her free time there, away from the noise of the cafeteria and the hallways. She didn't mind being alone. In fact, she preferred it. She was flipping through a book when the door to the library opened. Maya looked up, expecting to see a teacher or maybe a few students coming in to study. But instead, she saw Kevin. He was standing in the doorway, looking around as if he wasn't sure if he should come in. Maya didn't look away. She didn't pretend she hadn't seen him. She simply raised an eyebrow and waited. Kevin hesitated for a moment, then walked slowly over to where Maya was sitting. He didn't sit down. He just stood there for a few seconds, looking at her like he didn't know what to say. I wanted to talk to you," Kevin said, his voice uncertain. "About everything." Maya didn't say anything. She didn't need to. She just nodded, waiting for him to continue. She wasn't going to make it easy for him. She wasn't going to let him off the hook that easily. Kevin took a deep breath and finally sat down across from her, his hands resting on the table. "I know I hurt you, and I know it wasn't just you I hurt. I was an idiot to everyone, not just you." Maya didn't say anything. She didn't smile. She just looked at him, listening carefully. Kevin looked down at the table, his face serious. "I've been thinking a lot about what you said, about how I need to show I've changed, not just talk about it. And you're right. I want to show you that I mean it. I want to be a better person." Maya didn't rush to forgive him. She wasn't sure if she could trust him just yet, but she also knew that people could change. She had changed too, after all. She wasn't the same quiet, invisible girl she had been before. Maybe Kevin could change as well. "I don't want you to think I'm just saying things to make you feel better," Kevin continued, his voice steady now. "I'm going to prove it. I'm not going to go back to the way I was. I can't. I won't." Maya looked at him for a long time. She studied his face, searching for any sign of insincerity. But all she saw was someone who was genuinely trying to make things right. She knew that words alone weren't enough, but maybe actions could speak louder than anything else. After a moment, Maya nodded slowly. "I'll give you a chance," she said quietly, "but you have to show me. I can't just take your word for it." Kevin's eyes brightened, and he gave her a small, relieved smile. "I will. I promise." They sat there in silence for a while, but this time, it wasn't uncomfortable. It was peaceful. For the first time in a long time, Maya felt like she could trust someone. She didn't have to carry the weight of her past with Kevin anymore. He had acknowledged it. He was trying to change. But Maya knew it wasn't going to be easy. Kevin had a lot to prove. It wasn't just about not bullying her anymore. He had to show that he respected her, and that he respected everyone, not just her. He had to be better than the person he had been. As Maya looked out the window, watching the school bell ring in the distance, she realized something important. This wasn't just a test for Kevin. It was a test for her too. She had to decide if she was ready to let go of the past, to forgive, and to trust again. She wasn't sure yet, but she knew one thing. She was no longer afraid. And that was a victory in itself. The following weeks at school felt like a new chapter. Maya was still cautious, but she was also curious. Kevin had started to change. He wasn't the same guy who used to bully her every day. He was different, and Maya noticed it. He wasn't just quiet around her. He was genuinely respectful. He started speaking to others with kindness, and he even apologized to some of the people he had hurt in the past. One afternoon, Maya was walking down the hall when she saw Kevin talking to a group of students. He wasn't cracking jokes or laughing loudly like he used to. Instead, he was listening. He was really listening. He nodded as one of the students spoke, offering a kind word in return. It was a small thing, but Maya could tell it meant a lot. Kevin was trying. And he wasn't just trying to fix things with her. He was trying to fix things with everyone. Maya wasn't sure if she should approach him. They hadn't really spoken much since that day in the library. He had kept his distance, respecting her space. But as she walked past him, Kevin looked up and smiled. It wasn't the same smile he used to wear, the one that seemed fake and full of arrogance. This smile was real. It was sincere. "Hey, Maya," he said, his voice soft. "How's it going?" Maya stopped in her tracks, surprised. She hadn't expected him to talk to her again, not after everything that had happened. But here he was, speaking to her like a normal person, like he wasn't the same guy who used to make her feel so small. "I'm good," she replied, her voice steady. "How about you?" Kevin hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "I'm doing better. I just wanted to say thanks for giving me a chance." Maya looked at him for a moment, not sure what to say. She had given him a chance, but it was more than that. She had given him space to prove that he could change. And now he was doing it. "Just don't mess it up," she said with a small smile. "You've got a long way to go." Kevin chuckled, the sound easy and relaxed. "I know. I'll take it one step at a time." From that day forward, Kevin's behavior continued to change. He didn't look for attention by putting others down. He didn't act tough or try to make people afraid of him. Instead, he showed respect. He started helping students who were struggling with their work. He even sat down with people who had once been scared of him, talking to them like they were equals. Maya watched all of this quietly. She didn't speak up much. She didn't need to. The people around her were beginning to see the real Kevin, the one who wasn't trying to be someone he wasn't. He wasn't perfect, but he was making an effort, and that meant something. One afternoon, Maya was sitting outside, reading the book under the shade of a tree. She was lost in her world of pages when she heard footsteps approaching. She looked up and saw Kevin walking toward her. He had a book in his hand. "Hey, Maya," he said, standing a few feet away. "Mind if I sit with you?" Maya was surprised. This wasn't the Kevin she had known. This Kevin didn't demand attention. He didn't try to push his way into someone's life. Instead, he was asking if she wanted him there. It was a small thing, but it was a big change. "Sure," she replied, closing her book and making room for him. Kevin sat down beside her, the silence between them comfortable. They didn't need to fill it with words. They both understood that things had changed. Maya had given him a chance to prove himself, and Kevin was doing just that. For the first time, Maya felt like she wasn't alone. She didn't need to hide from Kevin. She didn't need to worry about what he would say or do. He had shown her that people could change, that even the hardest of hearts could soften. And that was the real victory, not just for Maya, but for Kevin as well. He had learned that real strength wasn't about putting others down. It was about lifting people up, helping them when they needed it most. As the bell rang, signaling the end of the school day, Maya and Kevin stood up. They didn't say much, but they didn't need to. They both knew that they had come a long way. Maya had stood up for herself, and Kevin had learned what it meant to be truly kind. As they walked off in different directions, Maya couldn't help but smile. She had faced her fears. She had shown that being quiet didn't mean being weak. And in the end, she had won, not just for herself, but for everyone around her. It wasn't the end of the story. It was just the beginning.